the lessons we learned in 30 minutes of tech work. We're
God.
live!
Are we? Does it say we're
Yeah,
live?
it says it's streaming live right now.
All right. What up, you guys? It is a revolution!
Oh my God, right? Seriously.
Yeah. You know, revolutions are meant to like push you to your limits and, you know, really get out there and tell the truth. And
yeah,
I was just asked to clear my cache since the beginning of time. That seemed like a major thing to do. I have to tell you, I think I just broke through some old abandonment layers.
Yeah, it's getting rid of a lot of stuff.
But I have a whole new Google Chrome browser going on, so this won't happen in the future. Mm-hmm. Hi, you guys. Thank you for bearing with us. We are 31 minutes late, but we are here and we are busting myths. We are dissolving shame. We are transforming the stigma right now by being in this conversation around addiction, around recovery, around being in relationship and communicating your truth. Which I'm so happy to have this amazing woman, Tara, who's just such a light in the world. She's doing work with couples in relationships, and she also works with people one-on-one. And, you know, like we keep coming back to relationships because relationships make the world go round. Like we're all in a relationship somehow with something. And I'm just so excited to have you in my life. And also right now live on Facebook through Zoom.
Finally.
So Tara, please tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
I would love to. Thank you. Because even just that 30 minutes that we were having so much technical difficulty, it was always fun.
Oh, awesome.
So about me. So yes, I am the creator of the Relationship Playbook for Marriage. It is an amazing course. There's a 6-week course and a 6-month course that I take couples through. Some people just need like a quick reset, like a 6-week, hey, let's get back to where we were. Some people really need a deep dive. And so I love offering both of those to couples and individuals because maybe only one person wants to do it, or maybe that person just needs their own deep dive, right? So what is really amazing is that as I continue my work in the world, behind the scenes, it is continuing at an even deeper level because we can't show up and do our work with other people unless we're doing our own work. And so as I continue to grow and my business continues to grow, as do I, by default. And sometimes I feel like recently I've actually kind of felt like, I don't know if you remember that show Alien, where he's like in that mucusy thing, like stretching and moving. And that's what I'm feeling like right now. And actually I feel like I've broken out, but for like the last month, that's been where I was. And the more I talk to people, the more I hear that other people are experiencing the same thing of like this really big growth and stretching, and then pop, we're here.
Wow, even while you were describing that, you know, your voice was changing, and you guys, like, we're real people having real conversations, and we're definitely experts in what we do, but like we feel the feelings. And so when you see, you know, me get emotional, which is often, you know, but it's real. Like this wants to close up and not tell the truth, but my this revolution that I'm having within me and that Tara's having within her is to break through this stuff and to do exactly what you just said, like that alien, like rebirthing. Yeah. And we can't bust myths or dissolve shame or transform stigma without something dying so that something else can live.
I would completely agree. And I love that you have brought those 3 things that we're going to talk about, the stigma and the shame and transforming all of this around addiction and recovery and in a relationship, because As you said prior or previously at the very beginning, we're all in relationships, whether we're single or not. We are all in relationship with someone, with our parents, with our friends, with our siblings. We're in relationships. And so when we have those judgments, even if they're silent, which almost the silent can be the most deadly, when we have those judgments about ourselves, about other people, they're projecting, right? They're continuously projecting when really those judgments are about us. That's where the work is. So when I'm counseling and in session with individuals and couples, I'm really just listening and aware of where is it that we get to dive in really deep and help you, because your words are coming out of your mouth. So we're saying what we're feeling and what we're thinking, which is amazing. That's what we're supposed to be doing, because that's where the work comes out.
Right.
And so you asked me, what is my personal definition of addiction?
Yeah. She's diving in, you guys. I love it.
Oh. I have been ruminating on this all day. And it's been so interesting because it's gone left and right and come way back, and then it's gone out again. I don't necessarily have one personal thing, because I'm like, well, there's the obvious addictions of drugs and alcohol and shopping and gambling and all of those obvious things that we all know. Then I dove into my own personal addictions. I am a control freak. You know what? I'm recovering. I am so in recovery. And it has been brought to my attention over and over and over again in the last month of how much I control, even just by saying something super subtle. I could be controlling. You and I had a great talk, and you said, you know, even if you say that, that is controlling, because you're putting that thought out there, or you're suggesting something that you want to, and it's manipulation in its finest form. And so
wait. Give us an example of what that is, because you guys, this is juicy. I had no idea you were going to talk about this, but I'm so happy that you are right now, because this is so juicy. Like, you often hear me say it's subtle as fuck. Like this, like, give us an example of what this means, because I want to hear more. I'm not sure.
Totally. Okay, so let's I'm just going to use a friend as an example.
Okay.
And so let's say that that friend has whatever the addiction is, and you're really trying to help that friend. Again, the addiction may remain nameless, because we all have something that we're addicted to, but some of us more than others have blatant addictions. And so for you to suggest or even say, are you sure that that's good for you tonight? I mean, hello, did you see all of that going on? I mean, first of all, I was in judgment. Second of all, my voice changed. I was condemning. I was manipulating. Like, all of that can come in. And so let's see, what else can we do? Are you really going to have that ice cream? I mean, hello, right? Are you going to go out tonight? Because I thought you weren't. I mean, that's a bomb, because you're not, there's so much that you're not saying. And so using that, and so let's say that your friend has a drinking issue or a gambling issue. And so that, you know, when this person goes out, like, all of this stuff could happen. When you're saying these things, you're wanting to control their behavior rather than letting them go and have their experience and you taking care of yourself. You're already attempting to control the situation from your side, because here's what's happening deep within us that we need to control, is because one of two things has happened. Your childhood was either severely controlled or completely out of control. And I'm sure we can all relate to some variance of that. And so we focus on someone else's inability to seemingly control their life. So we jump on that bandwagon of control, which we think keeps us safe, to keep everything, you know, all of our ducks in a row, so that we don't have to dive in and take care of ourselves. And, or, you know, put duct tape on our mouth if that's what we have to do for not saying anything, and just sit Like sit with all those freaking feelings that are coming up of, holy shit, if I don't say anything, then this person's going to go off the deep end. And then what am I going to do? Oh my God, I might ultimately have to do something, right? So by projecting that control, we're actually in our ego mind, keeping ourselves safe. And I, so put that in quotes because that's such an illusion. So there's so much going on for us if we just stop, duct tape our lips, and sit with what the frick is going on, because then we get to become solid. Don't get on our phone. Like recently, my husband and I had a really intense discussion. Part of me wanted to get up so I could literally leave the energy, leave the room, get out of the situation. And I didn't, because I really wanted to feel, like I wanted to feel everything that was coming in. And so I sat for 30 minutes in that same spot. I didn't move. I almost didn't even turn my head. Like I just sat so I could feel all of that stuff, because it was a point where I was letting go of something that I was totally manipulating and controlling. And it just hit me in that moment of, okay, so instead of doing something, just be and just sit. So back to the question of what is my,
Can I get in here real quick?
Yes.
I'm just going to get in here and take up some space. I love what you just shared, because we have a thing in like the 12-step community and in the world around addiction. And this is another thing that I want to bust this myth. Like what you were describing, a clinician, if I was like, talking from the DSM here and, clinically, I would say, oh, that's codependent behavior. However, what you just did was you owned that shit. You were like, it's actually my addiction to control, and turned it around to really be in yourself. Instead of going, oh, well, of course I'm codependent because I'm married to an addict, or, like, not that you are, but like, that's what happens in this dance, that this contract that we've made around these definitions of what addiction is and what recovery is and what codependency is and what relationships are. We've like signed contracts like, oh, you're the addict, I'm the codependent. And that's what we are busting the myths about right now. It's like, you're Tara Davis and you're whole and complete, and you chose to sit there in the discomfort rather than feeding the addiction of, oh my God, I got to control this, so let me get out of here because that's better and that's easier.
Yeah.
And like, that's real. Like everyone needs a break. That's okay. But you owned it on your side instead of just slapping a label on it and then saying peace out. Right. And you guys, that's why we're having this conversation, because it is so easy. And I'm sure all of you can identify with this, to be like, oh, well, I'm an addict. Of course I did that. And that's like an excuse to continue the behavior. You could be like, oh, well, I'm a codependent, which I don't even know if I believe in these words anymore, because
agree with
anxiety. It's like I'm anxiously attached to people and I have to constantly get on my side of the thing. And that is me taking ownership of me and not going, oh, I'm this, I'm that, blame it on this. Like, right. That's to me more escape behavior. And it feeds into the stigma, because then everyone knows, just like that action that I like to say, like everyone knows their parts then.
Oh God, it's terrible. Yes.
What we're doing is we're turning it upside down on its head and saying, no, those parts are flipping illusion. We made them up.
Yes.
Like, let's play different parts. Let's just show up in the moment. I'm very passionate right now. But like, let's just show up in the moment. Like, how many things went wrong before we were actually able to go live? And like, we're here.
Yeah.
So back to the question, what is your definition of addiction? Yes.
And it's, as you were talking, what I realized is that it is a label. I mean, there has to be something for like what that behavior is, but it's a label that I believe has come a long way, baby. Like it needs to be shifted. And I think that word addiction, and again, I'm sure it goes back to the 12 steps as well, of this behavior came from X and this behavior came from Y. But in saying that, it is taking responsibility to shift and change. It's your choice. And so, one of my go-tos to get out of the moment is shopping, which I'm so aware of that. And I've, again, in the last 6 months, because of, again, in creating these programs, I am showing up so big in my own life, and all of my own stuff is showing up. And so I realized, oh, that's one of my go-tos, is I go shopping. And so I get it. Like I so see it now, and I can feel that itch of like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this is now, and not going there. And so I think my definition is evolving moment by moment, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways. It's, when it gets to the, when my life is being affected in a negative way, like my definition is like, I continue to do something despite its negative effects.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In shopping, I'm not a shopper, but like, I was a drinker. Like, I was like, oh, I feel like shit, but I'm going to still do this because I didn't know how to sit there and feel my feelings. And I was so deeply depressed that I was afraid to show anyone. And I was afraid of the stigma and all of those things. And so when we think about like, despite the negative consequences, we keep doing something.
Something just came to me real quick. I want to
please
shoot this in. So as you said, we constantly, like, you wanted to drink and you felt like shit and you still did it anyway. What I also coach, and it just came through again, was that the reason that we're so willing to dive back into that addiction is because we haven't learned and we don't know how to feel safe in feeling every freaking feeling.
That's 100% the reason that we're on this conversation, Tara. Thank you.
Yes. And so feeling into the bazillion feelings that are underneath anger. I mean, anger really is just the front man, for betrayal and all those other things that come in. Why we're anger. Again, it's just the front guy. Like anger is like, okay, showing us. Yeah, go.
Well, it's actually, anger is what we're taught. Again, it's another conditioned behavior. So if you guys are watching TV, turn the TV on right now. It'll fucking show you how to be angry. Right?
And show you a tool for that.
Yeah, but like, so anger is the front runner because the world has conditioned us. Like if you feel overwhelmed, pick something up to make it go away or get mad, Right. And there's a difference between compassionate anger, like we're expressing here, to change things, to transform things, and a difference between like, I'm just going to like go beat things up and make it someone else's fault.
Right. And at that point, we're not even taking responsibility for what we're feeling. We're just projecting.
100%. I love this because, on all of the revolutions, we haven't really had this conversation, like the underlying things that are there that no one's talking about. And that's how the stigma grows, right?
Right, when we don't talk about it.
Because you don't want to talk about it. So it's like mold in your refrigerator. Like if you can't see where it is, it's going to continue to grow and fester until you smell it, right?
Or you can just put things over it.
Yeah, exactly. And until we're willing to talk about like, oh God, when you did that, it made me feel betrayed. I felt, this is so silly, but like I felt so unsafe having to clear my cache on my computer, where like a part of me had to like look, I can't even talk, power through, like, don't cancel, just clear the cache, because it didn't feel safe. And that's subtle.
It's super subtle, because as you were trying to work through this, I had the duct tape on my mouth because I wanted to tell you, it's okay, babe, we can reschedule. And then I just kept hearing, nope, just hang on. Just hang on. So I did, because you were learning, right? Like we're learning. every moment.
And I almost bailed on it because it was so uncomfortable, because I felt like I was failing you and failing all the viewers. You know, like, we commit to being here. I don't care if there's only one person watching, that one person is getting something from this, and I'm committed to being here. So I love this, Tara. This is so awesome. So like, underneath the addiction that you were talking about, like, those are the feelings. Like, what other type of feelings do you want to shop over?
Right. I love to shop over. Oh, I know. Here's a really good one that I have worked over. Gosh, yeah, we're just getting really open. So I don't know, maybe about 4 months ago, I realized that, so my husband goes out of town quite often for business. And I realized that as soon as he goes out of town, I'm like, oh, let's go shopping. And I never connected the two. I was like, oh yeah, of course, he's gone. I'm gonna go shopping. Let's go have some fun. And I did it from that place of, oh, totally having fun, because I don't drink. And so that was my go-to. But it was interesting because, again, I came from that place of, let's go have some fun. There's nothing wrong with shopping. Shopping is fun, but it's how I was using it. And so I was super sad one time when he had gone out of town for no real reason. Like, there was nothing else going on. I was just like, oh God, he's gone again. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to the mall. And I literally walked into the mall, walked to one of my favorite stores, bought some stuff. And then by the time I got to the car, I was like, do you feel the energy that you're in? You're probably going to return every freaking thing you just bought. And so I sat with that. And then I got home and I looked at the clothes that I bought and I'm like, they're not even that fun. So then I was like in this place of wonderment of, what the hell is all this? And so here's the thing. When you allow yourself to be in that space of, okay, well, what is this? Like, you just ask the universe, I'm willing to see this differently. Like, I love that. That comes from Gabby Bernstein via A Course in Miracles. I'm willing to see this differently. And you just literally go whoop, and open up the door for the universe to show you, oh. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm like addictive shopping to cover up these feelings. So then what I got to look at was, what are these feelings that show up whenever he leaves? And so then I was working with my own coach of like, okay, so whenever he leaves, what comes up for you? Well, I'm alone again. And she said, what does again mean? So we dug into that. Like, it's literally digging into your childhood and what does again mean? Like, you didn't say I'm alone again. And I was like, well, truly, for our entire marriage, he's been in the military. So I've been alone more than not, which has always been fine. But what is that underneath? So we kept digging and digging. And it was abandonment for me that I was trying to cover up, and not abandonment in a, like someone had left me. It was that I felt, and again, my parents did the best they could, but I felt like I wasn't getting what I wanted. And I will say, they gave me lots of attention, but we all have these things of like, well, I didn't get this from my parents. To no fault of anyone's. It's our own perception as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, right? Not getting what we wanted, or not thinking like, nobody loves me. So that's where it kept going. So for me, it was digging deeper into my shopping of, why is it that I'm covering this up when he leaves? What is it that's so painful? So it's sitting in that discomfort, because it can become painful. And we're so conditioned and taught not to feel the pain.
Well, yes. And like, this, it goes a lot of ways, because what we're conditioned and taught to leads me into like the second part of the question, which I'm not completely ready to go there yet, but I do just want to mention it. Like, instead of, what I hear from people that I work with is, instead of sitting with it, they come home, they look at everything they bought, or they look at the container of ice cream or cookies that they gnawed through, or relapse happens. Like, sometimes people will be like, I drank, I don't know what happened, it was a slip. And they go immediately to shame and guilt.
Right.
And that's the stigma, right? It's like, you've messed it up and now you need to be punished. And I'm going to punish you through stigma and shame because you did it wrong. And the invitation that I'm hearing from you is, how do we say, okay, I just participated in that behavior.
What am I going to do about it now? How does it feel? Yeah, there's no reason to shame. Shame is so old. Oh my God. There's no reason for us to get into that shame. It's the acknowledgement, it's the process of awareness of like, oh God, there it is again. What am I feeling now?
And what's a tool? Because I talk about it like staying curious, like stay curious, investigate, be a little investigator. What is something that you did on the last out of town trip where you went shopping? Like tell us like some of the things you did, because that's what this next question is. It's like, what do you think of like this stigma around wanting to recover, wanting to be your best self, and having to kind of talk about it like this?
Right. Okay. So that is something that I'm really passionate about right now, is especially in relationships. Nobody wants to talk about a shit relationship, right? We all want to have the Instagram relationship of, oh, it's hearts and everything is great. And look at us, we're on vacation together, like blah, 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 which is great. Great. But we all have the shit moments in our relationship. It's part of the growth. Because if we don't have that, we're not growing, we're dead. And so that is part of the stigma that I am trying to coach everyone out of, is like, hey, it is okay. And it's not to be shamed. Like there's nothing shameful about your relationship, about what you're doing, about what your spouse is doing. Nothing is shameful. And so I brought that to myself in the shopping thing and sat with, because yes, initially, like I wanted, like my little girl popped up and she wanted to be like, almost as if she was asking to have the ruler on her hand of like, shame on you, right? And so I just recognized that and I saw it and I'm like, yeah, I don't even want to go there anymore. That feels so heavy and so bad. So how can I shift this? And again, what I love to do is just ask the universe, God, whomever it is that you talk to, how can I see this differently? Like, what is my lesson in this? Because I don't like this part of it anymore. What am I here to learn? What is this teaching me? Asking all of those questions in whatever vernacular works for you, but opening it up. Because as soon as you ask those questions, then your job is to pay attention to any thoughts that come in your head. And I so encourage you not to dismiss whatever comes into your head, however bizarre it is, because that's your download.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to repeat some of this, because like we talk in this language often.
Yes, we do.
Everyone else doesn't.
Yes.
So, okay, I want you guys to hear something that that Tara just said, which I think is very interesting, and this feeds the stigma, is we are so conditioned. Like I say this often, like we're like animals. We are animals. Our nervous system reacts to the world as the same way that your dog and your cat and your bird and your, the squirrel friends do. Like it's going to fight, flight, or flee. And if we've been conditioned, I love what you said, if we've been conditioned to go put our hand out to get the ruler slapped on it when we misbehave, we're feeding the every time we do that.
And then we expect ourselves to do that to other people.
Exactly. And that's where you go. If we go back to the beginning, that's where you're like, ooh, are you going to eat that? Do you really need that? I mean, in my 20s, when I had no consciousness that I was hurting people, like I did that all the time. And I was talking to myself.
Yeah.
And, like, wow, how much humility I've gained, thank God, since then, because I was not nice. But that's the only way I knew to be. It was like, shame on you, shame on you. And even those words, right? Like that's a conditioning in itself. We talk about transforming our relationship with money. And we say to, change it from like, money doesn't grow on trees to hell yeah, money grows wherever I go, but it's the same thing. I don't know about you, but in my childhood, I heard shame on you a lot.
Oh God, yes. Well, it was how they were raised too, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure if you're watching, like, did you hear shame on you? Like, think about that. That's profound. Like, we have to uncondition that programming and listen to how we talk to our pets and our children to not be saying that. Like, I catch myself, I'll still say it. I'll be like, oh, shame on me. And I'm like, no, not shame. No shame anywhere. No shame on anyone.
Right.
But like, that is old conditioning. Like that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, here's something else that I heard recently that I wasn't even, it was just a conversation. I wasn't even listening. It just, you know how you have a conversation or you hear a conversation and the only thing you hear is like 5 words out of an entire conversation that someone else is having. And it was interesting because it was along the lines of like that judgment and that shame piece. Well, she did it exactly as she should have. And I just thought, that was so heavy. Like, holy moly, that poor person. And so it's along the same lines of that conditioning. Well, she did it just as she should have. And I thought, oh my goodness.
Well, come on. Like, I don't know about most of you. I know about me and you. Like, I'm rebellious. So if I hear somebody be like, well, of course Amy did it that way, then I'm gonna like show you I will do it that way. Like, and that's conditioning as well. So, you know, like, again, we're going back to subtlety.
It's so subtle.
This is subtle. Like, we don't even hear that shame on you came up and then out of our mouth so quickly, like venom. And what your invitation is to everyone is just to try to pause in the moment.
Yeah, that first step is just recognizing it. Like, as soon as you start recognizing yourself saying that to yourself or to someone else, that's the first step. You've recognized it. You're like, oh God, there it is. Now what do I do? And it even takes, you know, a while for you to start recognizing it. So again, giving yourself a break on making this transition. Don't shame yourself because you're shaming yourself, right?
Totally. I mean, and it happens. Well, I love this because this is the first time we've done this on the revolution as well, but we've basically given the answer to the third thing. Like, you've given us step 1 in what is one thing that we can do today and every day to transform the stigma and dissolve the shame and bust the myths. And step 1 is create some awareness around it.
Mm-hmm. It's within us, always. It's not about anybody else, ever. It's always about us.
So, okay, I'm just trying to think of, like, you know, the really stubborn people that I know, and I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
That are like, whatever, you don't understand what happened to me.
Right.
No, Amy, I had a shit childhood, you know, like I was molested. I've been in one bad relationship after another. Like, no, I can't do that. I don't have to do that. Like, you know, what's another tool that I'm asking you right now too? Like, what do you tell people?
Yep.
Because I will get that. And I use different techniques, but what do you use?
So here's what I use, and it's working about 50% of the time. I'm getting more traction with it. So here's what I use when I get that kind of, yeah, we'll just call it stubborn because it is stubborn. I mean, and I don't see that as a bad quality. When we get that kind of stubborn, resisting pushback, then I really encourage my clients and anybody that we're just having a conversation, start looking at what's working in your life. Start continuing to see, and it doesn't even have to do with anything. It's what's working in your life. Oh my God, my car's running today. Yay! I have a job. Woo! Like, what is really working? And you're like, oh my God, I have 30 minutes to take my dog on a walk today. Like, that's working. Start seeing what's working in your life and start having gratitude for what's going on. And there's no other agenda than that. Because for me, gratitude is always, and again, I even get pushback on that, like, oh my God.
That's what I was going to say. I like what's working better because my woo-woo ass, like, people are like, oh, here comes Amy.
Oh God, here it goes again.
Here she comes with all of her woo-woo shit.
Yep.
And I am woo-woo, but I'm also very science. And so I think that that's something I just heard is like, well, what's working for you? Because an engineer, Virgo, analytical person.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
What's working? They will have an answer.
What's working is that from the scientific from the scientific point of view, it literally changes the neurotransmitters in your brain.
Yes.
When you start shifting for what my shit is to, oh my God, this is working today. It literally starts to change the you make new neural pathways. And so, yeah, I'm just as woo-woo as you, but I also love the scientific side that it's been proven time after time after time that when you start noticing what's working, and after you start noticing, start writing it down in like on your app, like write it down in your apps, write it down in a journal, voice record what's working, and then look at it at the end of the day. See what's working in your life and let it go for a couple of weeks as you keep acknowledging and recognizing, then come back after about a month and let's see if we can't shift this. Because once you start coming from that place of what is working rather than what's not, oh my God, I got cut off in traffic today. Like really, who cares? Shut up. Like seriously, it doesn't even need to be said. It is what it is. You got cut off in traffic. Move on, get over it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. All I'm saying is that really what you choose to talk about?
Right.
What's working?
Well, and I think this is interesting too, because to take it back to owning your own stuff, then you're not so quick to judge someone else because you're looking at what's working in them as well. So
yes, that was my next segue. Yes.
Yeah. And so interestingly, it all starts with the self-stigma, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shame on, if you have that language, you guys, in your head, shame on me. Like that's the first thing, and notice it. Right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah. You just notice it, just recognize it, just like, oh God, there it is.
Oh,
all right.
There was me again saying shame on me. So that's the self-stigma. Mm-hmm. And then when you see the other person picking up their bad behavior of any sort,
duct tape it.
And turn it back into,
why am I feeling like I need to pick on this person right now? What in me is not feeling good? Where am I coming from that I need to point out what you're doing wrong?
Do you know how many fights we're stopping right now? You guys, this is really good advice. So, but you know, and it's not going to happen overnight.
Oh, no. You're
not going to do this perfect. Fuck it up.
No, nope, be gentle.
Yep. And it's okay to mess it up, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh God, yes. Yes. We are not perfect. Thank God.
Yeah. And so I still live in a permission-based world. I'm working on it.
Me too.
But I want people to give me permission. So Tara, I gave you permission. I'm giving you permission. Practice this and screw it up. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing too. When you screw it up, if it's outwardly, if it's audible that you've like said something to someone else and you're like in your mind going, oh Jesus, I just screwed it up. Make sure you acknowledge that, because that's part of the journey too, of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that just happened because I'm really working on this. And that was like the old habit. And it's not what I meant to do. I'm sorry.
And I go, whoopsie. Whoopsie, there I go again, being Amy. And I literally do that often, you guys, because I'm just like, I'm not perfect at this.
And I think because the world puts on the facade that everything is perfect. I mean, we hear the news, but the news is way out here, right? Most of the time the news is not right here because we don't live in those countries. We live right here. Most of the time it's out here. And so we think that everything around us is perfect. Everybody else is perfect. Life is perfect. Everything is perfect. And so if we show up any other way than that, holy shit, something is wrong with us. So then we project all of the shit on everyone else.
Well, and that's a stigma.
All of our perceived wrongs.
Totally. And that's a stigma in itself. Like, I mean, one thing that I used to run into when I was regular at 12-step meetings, which I don't do anymore, but like literally newcomers would be like, well, I'm never going to be like them. And I'm like, stop the compare and despair. Like, that's not why you're here. You're here to get well.
Yeah.
And not like, that person can be walking in to meetings, looking their best because they're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it to look good for you, hopefully. But whatever it is, it's like the compare and despair is not necessary, nor is it helpful. Because when I compare myself to you, I feel despair.
Yeah. Yeah, because you are your own unique individual. You are here in all of your glory, in all of your beautifulness, in all of your pain and your joy. Everyone is experiencing that for themselves. And it's never going to look ever like anybody else. It might look some have some similar things here and there. But we are all in this experience just for us. And we've made it about everybody else instead of bringing it within.
This is so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm loving this conversation.
Really, because what we're getting back to here, like together with all the people and all of you, like I am not stopping. Like we are transforming the stigma. And it starts just like everything else, just like any kind of recovery. Like all these light bulbs are going off in my head, but it starts from within.
Yeah. And it's how willing, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, it's how willing are we to show up for ourselves? Like I just recently had this most.
Yeah, I'm going to cry too. Like shit.
Transformational personal experience that I didn't even see coming. And I, again, chose to feel it all. I chose to dig so deep within myself. And what I chose to do was not leave myself by giving out something to someone else or giving up or, oh, okay, it's all right. Never. I did not leave myself. And in doing all of that, I got the greatest gift ever. And I don't want to share too much of it because it's still really, really raw within me. But had I not so shown up for me unconditionally without any thought about how it was going to maybe affect other people, and it wasn't in a bad way, it was just literally, I have so got to take care of me. What transpired was that I was willing to feel afraid, to feel fucking scared, to feel I had no idea what was going to happen. I just knew that I had to do this thing and speak these words and feel this experience. And then by allowing all of that to happen, what transpired was this amazing softness that came in. I was so in it. And then it just softened. And had I not really played all out, that softness wouldn't have shown up.
Damn. And so what is addiction, right? It's when you want to soften the playing. It's when you want to not play all out, right? Ooh, yeah. This is so good. Like, that's what shopping is. You're like, ooh, I don't want to play all out. I'm going to go shopping.
Yeah.
I was like, I've got a lot of feelings happening and I don't want to play all out. So let me go gunk.
Yeah.
Until I'm numb enough. And then I wanted to talk about everything.
Love it. Well, and so it's really uncomfortable. I would love in school if we were taught to be uncomfortable, because that's what we want to do, is get out of our uncomfortableness.
Okay.
If we can just sit for 5 minutes in that space that might be uncomfortable, then next time it might be 5.5 minutes. And then next time it might be 6 minutes. And then you can work your way to 30 minutes or an hour or a day or whatever that is for you in that uncomfortable space, because then the ebb and flow happens. It will never not happen. And you flow back into the space where you want to be.
And you have tools.
And you've realized, when you bungee jump, you're like, I can never do that. And literally you do it and you're like, oh God, that was it. That was a blast. Never done it. I don't know that I ever will. I'm just saying that it's just taking that first step and diving off the cliff of the unknown, because you never know until you do.
But I think in relationships, because we have that action, take one, like this isn't rehearsed. We're just doing it and bumping all on each other and we're like, okay with it. But in relationships, especially in sexual relationships, it's like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Do you not have the script? Like, why are you doing that? So like, this is the tricky part. It's so much easier to kind of live into the stigma, to stay in the shame, because that's the part you've been playing for so many years.
Because it's what everybody else does. It's the easy way to go.
Right. So how do we, like, no one wants to be uncomfortable. It's necessary.
Right? I know. I mean, who does? Who wants to be uncomfortable? Not me, but it happens.
So like the tools that I give, I mean, I tell people this, like, make your breath your bestie. Like this week on Instagram, I was like, make your breath your bestie, because your breath can move anything.
Oh God, yes. The 4 in, hold 4, 4 out. Brilliant.
Box breathing. Yeah. So you want to explain box breathing?
Oh, for sure. So yeah, it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 on the in, holding it for 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, and then holding, and then repeating. And some people don't hold at the end. I just like it because there's that space of nothingness in those 4 seconds that you're holding. I mean, literally, you're bringing yourself back into your body. You're recalibrating the nervous system. You're doing so much in that breath. You're in the moment right now. Your mind will stop. The monkey mind will stop and slow down. And in that space of that 4 breath of holding, as you well know, that's where the juice is. There's the nothingness there. I love that part. And so in relationships, when we are wanting to judge our partner, again, this just goes back to the acknowledgement and the recognizing. Stop it. Like literally start recognizing where you're judging and stop it. Stop audible judgment. Like that's the first step. And then you can start recognizing the mental silent judgment. But I really invite you, and in my courses, we don't play small. We play so big, and I'm just not going to say, okay, so just stop. Like I'm telling you, stop it. Right? Because we're at this point, if you're coming to see me, that you're wanting help. And so stop the judgment, stop the projection, get with your partner, decide what it is that you're wanting to stop. Where is this shame coming from? Why do you feel like he needs to stop this or she needs to stop that? What external pieces are bringing this to you that you think you need to address this issue? Where is that judgment? I mean, like, really, are you, and most of us have that feeling of like what other people think about us, right? I mean, we all have that in us. Are you saying this because you're afraid that if it keeps going, what are other people going to think about me or about us? I mean, like, there's so much to look into when we are in this cycle, in this hamster wheel in a relationship. And the best part of a relationship is we are in it to learn. That's what they're here for, not to judge.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, this is transforming and dissolving the shame. And it starts so subtly. Just the shaming starts so subtly. And as soon as we start, what I'm hearing is as soon as we start to feel that discomfort, then we want to go outside of ourselves, either for the behavior or to point a finger.
Yeah. And so what I encourage people to do is, even if you need to say it, like, oh, I'm starting this new thing and it's super uncomfortable, but I just got to sit here for a minute. I don't know what's going on. Like, literally say it.
Yeah. I mean, another piece of advice, is, and I use this all the time, is like, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe.
Yeah.
And, and I will tap with it or whatever.
I was going to say the same thing. Tapping is amazing. Even if you don't know what tapping is all about, I'm safe.
Safe. I'm alive. Here's my heart and I'm safe. Like I do it on my chest because like that's the thing. But that gets me out of the shaming spiral. If we're gonna smash and dissolve and slay the shame, we got to stop the spiral. We got to interrupt the pattern. Yes. And on interrupting the pattern, what is your go-to? You were so amazing at reminding me of this, because I haven't done this for years. It was way back when I was in my own therapy of, what are you going to do to replace that habit?
you reminded me of this and I've been using it as soon as you remind for myself and with everybody else. So how are you going to replace that? So for me, yes, you and I, Sat Nam, Sata Nama. And so I will do this sometimes if I'm like noticing myself creating a story and spiraling into that story. I'm like, and literally it brings everything down and I'm focused on this. And it just brings awareness into my body. Oh, Jesus, I'm spiraling again.
Right. So you
guys,
guys
we all do it.
Yeah. So if you missed that, like so here we're having a conversation and I'm like, oh shit, are we talking too much? And then I want to go like, oh my God, you've always talked too much. You've always been told to shut up. Da, da, da. And I'm like, no. I'm right here right now. And do you see how subtle that is? Like I could go down a rabbit hole of the first time I was told that I talked too much. And I was like a mute for so long. But like there goes the story. And see how subtle that is. That's a lot of information, you guys, but like it's so real because that's how quick our mind tricks us. That is how quick our mind tricks us into going into the conditioned behavior of bad girl, shame on you. And then that builds like mold
throughout your entire life
and into the lives of everyone else. And then we are still stuck. We're not transforming anything.
No.
We're just feeding into it like, oh, they're addicted. Oh my God, did you see? Don't bring wine around her.
Right. Oh my
God, he must have gained 20 pounds over the whole. I mean, we are so mean to each other, right?
And to ourselves.
And that's what it all goes back to that. It starts from within. I feel like I didn't know that any of this was going to happen, but I feel like this has been such a conversation about subtlety of the stigma and like the willingness to feel a little bit discomfort to have a badass result on the other side. And I think it's so interesting, something that I really learned in my recovery over the last 4 years, because I started getting sober and I wasn't perfect at it at first. And I just wanted to keep picking it up because I knew how to do that. But I'm so willing to get on my yoga mat and go through like anything that I have to go through on that mat so that my body looks good on the outside and I feel good. But when I'm really honest with myself, I was exercising to look good on the outside.
Okay, but here's the thing on that I worked on quite a bit because I really felt like I was doing the same thing of really working out and running and keeping in shape and doing yoga so that I looked good. But here's the thing. I felt good. There is everything right about feeling good in your body.
But the intention is that's what I was going to get to too, is like the intention is so different now, because here's the point of what I'm saying is that I was willing to let my muscles burn. I was willing to be uncomfortable. I was willing to shake so much to look good on the outside. But what I find with people is that we're not willing to feel uncomfortable within our bodies to feel good on the other side. Exactly what you just said. We get so comfortable kind of feeling like shit, feeling a little uncomfortable, feeling a little dazed, a little foggy, a little confused, a little out of it. I have a bit of a stomach ache. Oh, my head kind of hurts. Oh, my neck is hurting. All these things get so comfortable. And all of those are unexpressed emotions.
We also become addicted to drama. Drama. I was totally addicted to drama. So all of that you've just named, all of that cycle is the drama addiction. We become addicted to all of that. And we don't even know how to get out of that. And so that is a piece of addiction as well.
Right. So for those of you who exercise to look good on the outside, to transform the stigma right now, it's exercise being uncomfortable inside. Let the muscles burn. Let the heart ache. Let the tears flow. I had no idea I was going to say all this, but this is so relevant. Fuck.
So relevant.
Like, feel uncomfortable on the inside for a little bit because the reward on the other side is feeling amazing.
Yeah.
Without a substance, without a shopping, without sex, it's just because you just feel amazing.
And then you feel powerful within because you realized, oh my God, like I just felt all that for 5 minutes. Hell yeah. I didn't even know I could do that. And even if it's 1 minute, even if it's 30 seconds, whatever it is that you've chosen to start with, do a dance for yourself, because really that was more than you were doing an hour ago. And so then that muscle starts to improve and starts to grow. And then you're not even afraid of it anymore. I mean, you don't like it. It's uncomfortable, but the fear is gone then of like, I know what this looks like. I can totally sit in all this uncomfortable shit. All right, here we go again. And you can so just flow into it versus, running backwards and going, not feeling it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we talk about this, but like, it's just like the treadmill. Like, this is what we're saying. Like, the treadmill is hard. The first 15 minutes of exercise, when the heart rate is getting back up there, the blood vessels are opening. That's the hardest part. Then you get into the, ooh, wow, this feels good. Because then the neurotransmitters have all settled down and you're pumping out serotonin and you're getting the reward center of dopamine going. And so you glide right in, like it's like 15 minutes almost exactly for almost every human. Yeah. And then you're like, I got this. But if you stop at 7 minutes, then you got to restart again. So you're saying like condition yourself for 30 seconds, 1 minute of feeling all the, I think I might die right now. But then it gets longer and longer.
And congratulate yourself. Don't go reward yourself with food or shopping. Just congratulate yourself for feeling it. Like if this is something that's brand new to you, be gentle and have a dance party. Do whatever it is that you want to do. But yeah, be gentle and reward yourself.
And your partner or your child or, whoever you're doing the life thing with, because that's what this is all about with the relationships. And that's how we transform the stigma, because we're transforming ourselves.
Yeah, we're not here to transform anyone else. We're here to transform ourselves. What's
that?
One of my greatest lessons. I'm not here to help the world. I'm here to help me. I mean, I am here to help the world, but I'm here to help me first, because I can't help the world until I help me, which is what everyone's here to do.
So powerful. Well, I think we've answered all the questions, but for now, I love like words of wisdom at the end. We've given a lot of solution today, which I just appreciate you bringing this out for me and like kind of, just blowing this open to a whole new level. I'm excited that the revolution is like on here today. Thank you.
I am too. And like you, I had no idea that the conversation was even going to go the direction that it went today. So thank you. Words of wisdom is to take care of yourself, clean up your side of the street, be gentle with yourself, give yourself permission to mess up, and love yourself. It's all about you.
I love that. You are the most important person in your life.
100%.
Tell us where we can find you, Miss Tara Davis.
I would love to, because my website has just gone live in the last week. Nice. So it is at therelationship.playbookformarriage.com. There are freebies on there, my podcasts, my videos, my blogs, the courses. There's so much information on the website. So yes, the information, or the relationship playbook for marriage. You can find me on Facebook on Tara Davis, Instagram on Tara Davis. Let's see, SoundCloud. Where else? YouTube. Kind of all over the place, which is really fun.
Amazing.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. So the relationship playbook for marriage.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right, you guys. So listen, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you. I love what we're ending with here, and that is just to continually condition yourself that you are the most important person in your life.
From that place of humility. not from that ego point, from that place of humility.
We are in the season where we're going to be around a lot of people all the time. And this is the most important time to just love on yourself. Mm-hmm. And that is the one thing you can do today and every day to transform the stigma, is transform it from within.
Yep.
I love you. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. If there's any questions, we'll go back and answer them. Thank you for your patience, and we'll see you next week for another Regroovin' Revolution, where we are busting myths. We did a lot of that today. Dissolving shame, because who the hell said shame on you was something we should say, and transforming the stigma in a big way by sharing our stories and sharing our truth. Bye. Ta-ta for now. Go out there, be your best self. We're living a regroovin' way of life where moment to moment, we choose to be our best self. Bye. Love you.
Love you, babe.
I can't find end today.